We're here today to commemorate the opening and ribbon cutting of Hollywood Community Housing's newest affordable housing development, Gramercy Place Apartments. And here you are. These projects don't just sprout up miraculously. It takes a lot of hard work and some incredible collaboration and some perseverance to serve those who need quality housing the most. And Hollywood Community Housing has that driven leader with their executive director, Sarah Letts. Sarah, come on up. We'd like to have you walk us through the project and provide some background information about the apartments.
Thanks. Well, thank you all for joining us to celebrate Gramercy Place Apartments. So it really wouldn't have been possible without the councilman, who was our supervisor when all of this started. He was on the County Board of Supervisors. A lot of gratitude for you and your team. You have an exceptional team. And also to the Mayor Garcetti. So Mayor Garcetti was our councilman back in 2001 when you were a councilman for District 13. And so for 20 years, there has been nothing but wholehearted support for affordable housing and addressing the affordable housing crisis. So shout out to the mayor and for his team as well. You have a great team, so thank you. And I've met a lot of neighbors, and there's a lot of stakeholders and community organizations. So it really warms my heart that you're able to come today to see what we've really all created together. Like, it is a lot of work, it is a big challenge, but together we've created this beautiful asset in the community. So I'm very grateful that so many people from the neighborhood have come to our grand opening today. And I have to thank Laura Meyer. She's with United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. She's the president. And along the way, she's done big things, small things, subtle things. And even during this past week, we pulled together Welcome Home tote bags. The tote bags are from the councilman, and then together with Laura, we pulled together a whole bunch of practical and informational things. So every resident is going to receive a Welcome Home tote bag. So for all the residents who are at this ceremony today, you really truly are part of this neighborhood, a new stakeholder in this neighborhood, and we're so glad to have 64 more new households living here in the neighborhood. So yeah, so thanks to all of you. There's been organizations like the Arlington Heights Neighborhood Association. Right across the street is the Amazing Grace Conservatory. I'm not sure if Jackie's here today, but I'm grateful to all of our neighbors. Jackie, there she is. Nice to see you. And then I also have to give a shout out to Grace Yu, who literally said yes in my backyard. So I don't know where Grace is, but she said yes in my backyard. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm sincere when I say to all the neighbors, community members, thank you for welcoming us, and we look forward to working with you, talking with you, strategizing with you, and celebrating with you for decades and decades to come. So I just really sincerely want to thank you all. And it's our hope that the 64 affordable apartments here will represent a fresh start for all the new residents. And each person will enjoy design features. I don't know about you, but I think this is an exceptionally beautiful building. And you'll get to tour of the apartments that are right there. And this building is environmentally sustainable. Every single apartment is accessible. There are shared spaces, there are community spaces, and there are great views. So if you end up after this program going up, you can see the Hollywood sign from here, and you can see downtown Los Angeles from over there. And our big hope is that Gramercy Place Apartments becomes more than just a place to live, and that it becomes a place to thrive. So that's what we really are hoping for and will work towards. So with that said, I want to thank some of our partners who have made all of this possible. Kevin Daly of Kevin Daly Architects. He's the mastermind behind this beautiful building, so thank you, Kevin. And Luke Smith is also a mastermind behind this beautiful building, so I want to acknowledge you too, Luke, so thank you. So throughout the pandemic, I think it's really awesome that the construction company is Walton Construction. So we had, I don't know how many construction workers on site throughout the pandemic. They were all safe, wearing masks. But we got this building built during a pandemic, and people earned a living wage during this pandemic. So I'm very proud of the jobs created by affordable housing. And I want to thank the folks from Walton Construction. Over there we've got Cameron and Val. And I don't know if Blake or Lee made it, but we're very grateful to the construction company and all the workers who built this project. Our building is green because of an expert named Shelley Collier. She's out here too, and there's a lot of subject matter experts who really, it's sophisticated. Buildings like this are sophisticated, and so I want to thank all the other people here that helped us design and build such a great building. And we have a lot of supportive services partners too. As many of you know, 32 of the apartments are for people who have experienced homelessness. And the journey to settle back into a home is it can be a long journey, it can be a challenging journey, and so we have a lot of partners who help us on the social service side of things, and that is Brilliant Corners, the Housing Authority of the City of LA, Housing Works is our service partner, and then there's 2 county departments, the Department of Health Services and the Department of Mental Health, who have also been instrumental in helping us to lease up the building, get formerly homeless people moved in, and then they'll be our partners to provide the ongoing services. And so Barker Management, there's a big crew of people here from Barker Management. And again, they worked throughout the pandemic. There were more than 1,000 people who applied, and it was a very intensive process to work with people to get them moved in to their new homes. So a lot of gratitude to Barker Management. Thank you so much. And also the Hollywood Community Housing Team. I have the urge to name you all by name, but I'm not going to do that. So anyway, thank you to everybody from Hollywood. And I see 2 of our new board members, Cynthia and Rain. So thank you to our board of directors as well. So thank you. So it takes capital. It takes dollars to build buildings like this, and so U.S. Bank is going to speak in a couple minutes. They are a construction lender and equity investor, so they are our long-term financing partner. The Los Angeles Community Development Authority, LACTA is what we call them. They're here too. Lynn Catano and her team are here, and they are a really essential source of financing for this property. And so is the Department of Health Services. Somebody's going to speak later from that department. But the last thing I want to say about the financing is this is an example of the will of the voters in the city of Los Angeles. This property from the city's housing department, they provided Proposition HHH dollars to help finance this building. And I want to highlight this source because we got this building done expeditiously. And it took a lot of people sitting right in front of me. But you guys had the political will. You made this happen. And the voters also had the political will to make this happen. And so I feel so much gratitude to so many people. It's hard to put into words. So I just want to thank you all today and not go on too much longer because we have other more interesting people to hear from. But just I really, truly am grateful for everybody that's here today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sarah. You know, the discussion of our homeless situation comes up a lot. People talk about it, people complain about it. Not a lot of people roll up their sleeves and do something about it, but you could see folks like Sarah and Hollywood Community Housing and the 2 gentlemen we're about to meet are actually rolling up their sleeves and getting something done about it. And it would be great if we could get more people interested in not just talking about it, but actually doing something about it. I know a lot of you would like to see this building. It really is an amazing apartment complex, and there will be some tours led by HCHC staff that will be available after the ceremony if you would like to be part of that tour. Now I'm honored to introduce our next speaker, Councilmember Mark Ridley-Thomas. Councilmember Ridley-Thomas has been dedicated to public service since 1991. Some of us are old enough to remember 1991. When he served his first term as an LA City Council member. He is now serving his 4th term as a council member for Los Angeles, his 4th 4-year term, I should say, as council member for Los Angeles after having served in the California State Assembly, the Senate, the Assembly, and as an LA County supervisor. And since being elected to represent Council District 10, The council member has been dedicated to addressing the homeless crisis in the city through his role as chair for the Council Homelessness and Poverty Committee. He's pushing for positive change in the city at every turn, and we are happy to have him as a partner for this project. Please join me in welcoming Councilman Mark Ridley-Thomas.
Well, thank you very much, Rick. Let's give Rick another big round of applause, won't you? And if you feel the way I do about being here at Gramercy Place Apartments, why don't you give Sarah Letts and the Hollywood Community Housing Team a big round of applause? I mean, oh, come on, give them a big round of applause. Show them that you mean it. This is a lot of work, often described as a labor of love. I want to give a special shout out to Maylin Rodriguez, Director of Asset Management at the Hollywood Community Housing. Where's Maylin? Where is she? Where is Maylin? Where is she? Don't hide. There she is. Give her a big, there she is right there. Give her a big round of applause. She's a special one. Might I say, in the midst, John, of a global pandemic, she led a large team of people and kept everyone safe and on schedule, and so that we could move our unhoused and low-income tenants into high-quality, service-enriched housing as soon as possible. She did that because of head, heart, and capacity. And in addition to this project in the 10th District, she also spearheaded the work on two other new facilities that Hollywood Community Housing lays claim to. That's the Florence Mills apartment in CD9 and the Stanford Avenue apartments in the unincorporated area of the 2nd Supervisorial District. So give her another round of applause for that big, big work. That's been a We acknowledge the tremendous support from United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council, especially Laura Minor, who's been acknowledged as the president. Laura, thank you for your work. We appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. Laura, Mr. Mayor, Laura may have been the only person that I can point to other than John Wellborn, who started out on this journey about community improvement around the same time that I did. And so Laura and I have been rocking it for quite a while, and so this is an important expression. It's already been said that this project illustrates how collaboration works, how it makes sense. The city, the county, the private sector, nonprofit, affordable housing developers, community residents, all who faith-based leaders who want to see it happen. And this is essentially what it takes. I'm fond of saying it is not for the faint of heart. If you want to do this work, Ms. DuPont Walker, you've got to step up and lean in. You have to double down. And this is all real talk. The city of Los Angeles came forward by providing almost $14 million in construction financing. Give the city of Los Angeles a big round of applause. The county of Los Angeles, known for social services and the safety net, put capital support into this project in construction funds at the level of another $5 million. Give the county a round of applause, will you? And I want to invoke a point of personal privilege here by saying this. When the city and the county work together, great things happen for the people of Los Angeles. Do you believe that? When the city and the county work together. And so we need to encourage more of that, and you'll see projects like this springing up with regularity. And critically, the funding of the rental assistance and the intensive case management services happen by way of the support of a nonprofit known as Housing Works, who you have heard from, and there will be supportive housing units, some 32, to ensure that those tenants thrive. So a lot of care and intentionality attaches to what we are doing. You see more than sticks and bricks. You see more than well-appointed, well-designed, quality construction. You see human beings who will be cared for, who will be able to know that they have a sense of purpose and dignity that we are all bound to respect. If you believe that, you ought to clap your hands and acknowledge that these are our brothers and our sisters. We acknowledge the multiple layers of financing, the perseverance and the creativity to see each project through to the finish line, because that's what it takes. And I'm encouraged by what's happening now with the second round of home key funding slated to happen in September, because that means more can happen. We can purchase more properties and quickly convert those properties into housing. There's a fellow by the name of Mitch Katz, MD. John Sharon, MD, PhD, knows him. They came to the county of Los Angeles around the same time, and Dr. Katz said this: I'm a physician, not a politician, but I can tell you this. If I had to prescribe a cure, treatment, medicine for houselessness, it would essentially be this: I'd prescribe a house. And so we have to understand that if we want to deal with the issue of homelessness, we have to build more and more projects just like the one we're here to celebrate today. And we do it with the appropriate services involved. We need to have housing now. We need to scale up the flexible housing subsidies and provide another as many as 10,000 slots. That's why I declare without apology that housing is a right, not a privilege. In a democratic society, housing is a right in Los Angeles. The right to housing movement is taking off. And so, colleagues and friends, I say it again that the issue of homelessness is the defining civic issue in our time. We're in it for the long run. We will not retreat. We're only going forward. We're going to build more projects like this. We're going to nurture these nonprofits and make them sturdy to do what they need to do. And many of the work efforts that are going on happen because of people right here in this room. You know who you are. You know those persons by name, and those who are yet unnamed who will benefit from what we are doing. And I want to say, according to the latest update from the city's housing department, there's as many as 14 HHH housing projects with some 804 housing units that have been completed, and the 1,000th HHH tenant will move into a housing unit at the end of this year. 1,000 people have been benefited through this effort. And Mr. Mayor, if I stole your thunder, forgive me. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. All right? And so I just think these are fabulous numbers to know and to celebrate. More is coming. Our overarching goal, as always, is to ensure that everyone who calls Los Angeles home is able to attain a life of dignity, of worth, and of purpose. When I came in, I was touched when I saw a classmate of mine. Where's Brenda? Brenda, where are you? There's Brenda. She's a classmate of mine. Give Brenda a big round of applause. Brenda's a resident right here at this new facility, and that's a good thing for Brenda and her family and all of us who love her. It's my pleasure now to honor the person to whom honor is due, a partner, a colleague, a co-conspirator when I was at the county. He and I worked together to help pass several groundbreaking initiatives on transportation, on construction of housing, on criminal justice reform, and more. I'm grateful that he leaned in on Measure M for transportation, on Proposition HHH, as we've talked about today, and on Measure H. If you know who I'm talking about, just begin clapping now, and welcome to the microphone the Honorable Eric Michael Garcetti.
Busting out the middle name today. All right. Thank you, Mark Ridley-Thomas. When I first came to the city council, everybody said, go see Mark. So I went and saw Mark. And I was touched by his heart. I was struck by his intelligence and his wit. And before I left, he asked me to vote for him for President Pro Tem of the Los Angeles City Council. So I learned a lot of lessons about public service from him in that first week, which was always bring your brains, but lead with your heart, and never leave a room without asking for something. And I have been on this joyful ride, coming at least in local government now to a close for me in the coming months, but 20 years together. I've witnessed the extraordinary passion that he brings to everything he does. And you know the expression dog with a bone, that is Mark Ridley-Thomas. If he wants to get something, like when people say there's no way that there's going to be a sales tax passed for homelessness for a decade in the county, never bet against him. And we are here because of you. I'm joyful that we come full circle getting to serve together at the end. And I'll just say this personally. I know you announced recently that you weren't going to run for mayor. And I just think that the city of Los Angeles is poor for that. But I also know as a friend, the decision of these weighty things rest with you. And I'm happy for you and the ability for you and family and friends to see this incredible leader of Los Angeles write a next chapter. But that chapter will remain around housing and homelessness, and I know that. So give Mark another round of applause. Council member, supervisor, assembly member, state senator, Mark Ridley-Thomas. I was so excited to see him today, I left my jacket at home, but it's kind of a hot day anyway. So thank you. Another part of the love of these last 20 years has been the Hollywood Community Housing Corporation. And it was the first organization I did any affordable housing project with when I was council member for 12 years in the district. Sarah, you, your team, your predecessors, the board have just been amazing partners. We've taken old bungalows and redone them. We've taken, I remember the corner of Sunset and Western, where there was a proposal to build just a typical kind of, I don't know, mid-America mall-looking setback Walgreens, and we told Walgreens, no, we're not going to waste the space 2 blocks from the subway in a community of need. And it was one of the first mixed-use projects where we said Walgreens can go downstairs, but we're building some housing on top of that. And Hollywood Community Housing Corporation stepped up, and today that Walgreens is thriving because there's customers right above. It is a community where people who needed affordable housing now have a place to call home, and there have been literally dozens of those projects. So I'm indebted to you. And the design, look at the design of this place. I mean, thank you so much to Kevin Dell and the great work that you have done here. If you've seen the Camino Nuevo at the, I call it Dysfunction Junction, you know, where Temple and Beverly and Virgil all meet there, like 17 different streets. That's also his design, beautiful design. Thank you for enlivening the neighborhood, enlivening our city, enlivening the life of those who will live here, as well as all the partners, United Neighborhoods, Neighborhood Council, thank you, because without the support of folks around the city, we can't get these done. U.S. Bank, thank you for this leadership you've shown time and time again, and the County of Los Angeles, really, who is an amazing partner here. You've gone through the numbers, but I think Councilmember Ridley-Thomas gave you the appetizer and the soup. I'm going to give you the entree and some dessert on some numbers here, because sometimes there's been some folks who throw stones at the voters for the vote that we worked very hard to get, and whether or not, we said in 10 years there'd be 10,000 units of housing and they'd cost about $150,000 per unit of subsidy. Well, here's the good news. We're coming in with 11,000 units 2 years early and $15,000 per unit less. So that's more, cheaper, and faster. And this is an example of that. So thank you to the voters. Thank you to the Housing Department. Thank you to all the partners, especially our nonprofits like HCHC, that are making this happen. We have now 52 projects with 3,200 units under construction. So you're right, the 1,000th person will move in soon. But 3,200 units worth of construction are underway, and 18 more will break ground this year. adding another 1,300. So together that's 4,500 units either underway or breaking ground in this calendar year. And these are long-term investments in a Los Angeles that cares, in a Los Angeles that houses, and homes end homelessness. I joined my brother, Councilmember Ridley-Thomas, in this movement to make housing a human right. In fact, I asked some of our presidential candidates, the incumbent at the time didn't seem too interested, but the others, to add to their platform a right to an entitlement. Imagine if we had an entitlement for Section 8 vouchers and that they were at a level that people could use in a rental market like Los Angeles. Think about this in America. If you're hungry, we don't say, sorry, there's only 1 million people who qualify for food stamps. We say nobody in America should go hungry. So it's an entitlement, and nobody goes hungry. We say you don't have health care. We say Medicaid is a right for everybody who can't afford health care. We call it Medi-Cal here. But when it comes to housing, we say, sorry, you're mostly on your own. It's a small lottery. You'll wait 10 years, and just 1 out of 4 people nationally. In Los Angeles, 1 out of 8 people who qualify for a housing voucher gets it. And so 7 out of people struggle. They struggle to find a home. They struggle in tents on our streets. They struggle in shelters. They struggle couch surfing. They struggle trying to ask one more friend for one more favor. That is not the way we should be in America. And so Joe Biden actually put into the platform and is now part of the first president's agenda to make housing a human right. But we've got to help our Congress get there because it takes legislation. And while this legislation before the Congress right now will expand our vouchers, and we are grateful for that, by a couple thousand right here in Los Angeles, we need to expand it to everybody who needs to come home. Might sound expensive, but think what we pay in criminal justice costs, what we spend in sanitation costs, what we spend on shelters, what we spend every single day is so much more expensive. And you look up and you see this. This isn't just welcoming people home. This is building a city of the future, a place where everybody belongs. So we're stepping up with more than just money, and Gramercy Place is a shining example of what happens when things work, when you have the right partners, when you have the right service providers, when you have the right builders, and I'm grateful to every man and woman who built this place, because architects and engineers are critical, but then human beings actually have to put this together, and it was human beings that did that. And I am so grateful for all the donors to HCHC, to all the taxpayers who made this possible. And I'll end and say a couple words in Spanish, but I'll end by thanking the residents. Thank you for welcoming us to your home today. Thank you for welcoming us to your home. This is your council member. I'm your mayor. You let us know what you need, because your success is our success. And we know that this journey, for a couple of us, a decade, 2 or 3, has been worth it when we see the human faces. When I think about this, I know Mark said it quickly, but 2 people who grew up together, one who's a tenant, one who helped build this place. That's the story of Los Angeles. That is the story of our city's soul. So congratulations, brevemente también en español, and I promise it's not as long as the English speech. Hace solo 5 años, el espacio donde nos encontramos hoy era un lote vacío. And by the way, I should have said this in English, this was city property, one of the first ones we identified that was surplus property. So the people gave this to the people. Ahora es un lugar al cual 62 personas de edad avanzada llamarán hogar, y donde los servicios de apoyo servirán para recuperar su salud y estabilidad. La inversión de los votantes en la proposición HHH está creando resultados en vecindarios como esto. Gracias a HHH, 14 proyectos como Gramercy Place se han abierto con más de 800 unidades. Y esperamos que otros 13 proyectos de HHH se abran este año, agregando otras 900 unidades de viviendas de apoyo. Y tenemos 52 proyectos con 3,200 unidades en construcción y 18 proyectos en construcción este año agregarán otros 1,300 unidades. Más unidades, más rápidos, más baratos. Este es el resultado de HHH. Hemos hecho una inversión histórica este año al dedicar casi $1,000 millones para enfrentar la falta de vivienda. Gracias a concejal Ridley-Thomas, Hollywood Community Housing Corporation y todos los parejas y los residentes de la comunidad por su apoyo. Hoy abrimos 72 puertas a 62 puertas a 62 viviendas, a 62 personas, historias. Estoy muy agradecido con todos los que nos trajeron hasta aquí. Espero que se abran más puertas en nuevos hogares en los años próximos. Muchísimas gracias, and with that, I'll toss it back to you, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As some of these journalists know, you have to follow these two gentlemen all over the place. I think I followed you to Lima, Peru at one point, right, for the announcement of the 2028 Olympics. And so next stop for some of these folks, Bollywood maybe? Is that, yeah? Congratulations on your nomination as ambassador to India. We would like to acknowledge some other folks who are here today. Jackie DuPont Walker, who's a Metro board member and president of Ward Economic Development Corporation. Jackie, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate that. Developments like this, you know, I've mentioned it before, they don't sprout up with all kinds of help. And thanks to the city and that partnership, that has been very helpful. But also, it takes finances, as has been mentioned. We'd like to welcome Diana Cardenas, who will be saying a few words on behalf of U.S. Bank. This project could not have been completed without U.S. Bank's financial support, and I think I can speak for everyone here today in saying that we are incredibly grateful for that. Diana, would you please join me?
Good morning, everyone. Oh, I can take this off now. My name is Diana Cardenas, and I'm very happy to be here. What an act to follow. Thank you so much for your support, as always. My name is Diana, and I work to invest equity and debt in affordable housing across the country with U.S. Bancorp Community Development Corporation. And I'm proud to be here to represent us as both the lender and the investor for Gramercy Place Apartments. So U.S. Bank provided a combined $23 million in construction financing and $17 million in low-income housing tax credit equity for this beautiful, affordable, and permanent supportive housing development for seniors and seniors experiencing homelessness. I would like to thank everyone who partnered to bring this project together. Special congratulations to our long-term partner at Hollywood Community Housing Corporation, a mission-driven developer under the remarkable leadership of Sarah Lutz, with a 30-plus year history of contributing to the revitalization of Los Angeles. They have had an amazing commitment to seeing this development to the finish line, as we can see. I would also like to congratulate the City of LA, LA CDA, HCID LA, LA County Department of Mental Health, and DHS has been mentioned, City National Bank, my other fellow private partners, Citibank, and also LIF, for their financial contributions and expertise, which will continue to advance the important work to develop affordable housing in our city. I will also add that this development, as was mentioned before, was completed in the middle of a global pandemic, it's just truly a heroic feat. And so it really deserves a celebration of its own and further acknowledges the dedication of the team to reach a successful outcome. U.S. Bank is focused on closing the gap between people and possibility, and we believe everyone deserves an opportunity to achieve financial stability, and access to affordable housing is a hugely critical part of that. That's why for more than 30 years, we are proud to have invested over $13 billion and lent more than $3.6 billion to help create more than 80,000 affordable units across the country. In these unprecedented pandemic times, we believe now more than ever that having a safe, clean, and healthy place to rest your head is essential, and the need for more affordable housing and supportive services is far more pronounced than it ever has been in our communities. We know that these homes will change the lives of the people who live in them and will help contribute to this thriving neighborhood. U.S. Bank is also very much focused on building strong public and private partnerships to create long-lasting change. When the private and public sectors work together, we can help remove disparities, give everyone the chance to live in a safe and beautiful home, and achieve financial stability, having a long-lasting impact in our communities. We're proud to be a partner with Hollywood Community Housing Corporation and the rest of the incredible public-private team to see Gramercy Place Apartments come to life. So this is truly one of the favorite parts of my job, attending the grand opening of an amazing project such as this one. So I'm proud to be here, and especially knowing that the residents will have secured the most important foundation in their lives, a safe place to call home. So thank you so much for having U.S. Bank here to be a part of today's dream come true for so many. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. We appreciate that. Our next guest oversees the largest mental health system in the United States with an annual budget of close to $3 billion. Dr. Jonathan Sharon is the director of the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health. Before joining LA County DMH, he had various positions, including Chief of Mental Health at the Miami VA, the healthcare system there. Dr. Sharon has also made significant contributions to the field of neuroscience and is a recipient of the prestigious Kemp Award from the American Psychiatric Association. He has played a critical role in LA County's response to the pandemic, providing the necessary mechanisms in place to provide the crucial mental health support services the county needs as we continue to battle COVID-19. LA County Department of Mental Health will also play a significant role in the lives of the tenants that live here at Gramercy Park Apartments, and it is in large part thanks to Dr. Sharon. Please welcome Dr. Sharon.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here. And DMH and myself are very honored to be here with you and to have provided funding for 12 of the units in this amazing facility. And I'll say that, to quote Mitch Katz, who was brought up earlier, I'd rather write a prescription for a place to live than for medications for people who do not have a place to live. And the same is true for mental health. That's for sure. The amount of work and collaboration that goes into putting something like this together is hard to describe, and people have been talking about it, but I just need to reiterate that. And it's only when we lean in with our hearts and we put our minds together and commit that things like this can happen. And this is a spectacular result. I mean, look at this place. This is amazing to me. It gives me hope. And we need to keep rolling. We got to keep rolling. We got to do this again and again and again all over this amazing county, and to get it to shine again and deal with a humanitarian crisis. I want to recognize the mental health provider, Exodus Recovery, who's going to be providing services in this facility. This is an amazing community-based organization that does some of the most sophisticated work in the county. I also want to recognize that people don't just need services, they need opportunities. You need opportunities to thrive. And perhaps most important, our communities must be inclusive. We have to embrace our new neighbors. We have to come together understanding that our interface is critical. And if the memo from COVID and from social unrest is not clear, we depend upon each other. We have to respect each other. We have to take care of each other. We need to love each other. And then my ex-boss is here, so I can mess with him a little bit, because he can't quite fire me the way that he used to be able to. And I want to just make an aspirational statement. You know, New York City a long time ago said that there needs to be a right to shelter. And we're stepping it up and we're saying, oh, no, there's a right to housing. And what I would say to the future generations, it's actually all about community. And we need to have a right to community, which would include a place to live, people to love, and purpose in life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate that. And we've had some very special guests here speaking, and very important people. They do important things. None more special than the person we're about to meet. When I do these events, I'm reminded that every night I go home, I have a place to hang up my clothes. I have a refrigerator and a kitchen where we can prepare food. And what we call that, or what I call it, is home. But not everybody has a place that they can call home. And we're happy to say that Brenda Brooks now has a place that she can call home. And Brenda, would you please come on up, and one of the new residents of Gramercy Apartments.
I'm going to tell you that I didn't know that I was going to be the only one speaking, and I greeted Mark and I said, I'm still following you. Yeah. With deep appreciation, I thank you for being in my life for so many days. Yeah. We won't go into the decades. You know, I started out being displaced, homeless displaced, about 6 years ago. But I was doing the couch surfing thing, so I was very fortunate that, you know, I had a place to sleep on the sofa or the floor or whatever, with family members, etc. In the past year, I would say come December 2020, I fell and found out when I was rushed to Cedars Hospital by my daughter that all the tests, I had had a stroke. And I've moved so fast in life, I didn't even know I did. And it was called antique because it was more than 6 weeks before that day I fell. So as I was sitting in the hospital, it became clear to me that I've never really lived a full life. I can tell you I lived in Germany. I traveled to Europe when I was 17 years old and studied economic conditions and things in Europe for summer. I can tell you that I've worked in political cities here, Linwood, Inglewood, etc., Los Angeles. And finally, I started for law firms. I was going to follow Mark all the way. I was going to become a politician, etc. But anyway, I decided after working for prominent law firms to go out on my own. And today I'm a massage therapist, healer for about 21 years, and I absolutely enjoy my passion. I've heard a lot of things as if each of these gentlemen were in my head, talking about humanity. I believe in humanity. I practice that faith every day. I believe in community. I believe that we're all interconnected. It's kind of hard to explain to people that we all came out of Africa originally, so the map is not the same as it was yesterday, you know, and let's enjoy this moment. My experience with homelessness in December, I'm going to go back. My experience was that after I fell, the owner of the place where I was staying got wind of it, and they asked my family member I told them I had to move. And so during the pandemic, you know, I had fear, and I've grown up with fear a lot in my life, you know, well accomplished, but still not really able to get over it. So when I was in the hospital, I challenged myself to really, really be a stand for myself. In order to love other people, you have to love yourself. So I approached it from that standpoint of faith, you know, and I prayed unceasingly for the happiness of others, because I started out in a safe parking LA near the port of Los Angeles, the mayor's office across the street. And it came to be that one young man, 19 years old at the time, had gotten his first job. And I told his parents when he passed away this year that I would be that he was my bodyguard. You know, this 19-year-old kid died in his sleep. And every day at 5:30 in the evening, he would be there. At the time, I was the only one parked there. He would be there to make sure that I got in and I was protected, and etc. From there, I moved up to the shelter, and I continued to talk to him every day, looking for him, until finally I was told by the other guys that he had passed away. You know, I fell to my knees crying. This young man was talking to me about his future, about God and faith and everything, and encouraging me. You know, Miss Brooks, you know, encouraging me. I moved up to the shelter, and I got to see close view of the homeless situation. I have to tell you that I majored in public affairs, contracts and grants, etc. I have always fed the homeless, etc., and did things for them. But when I moved up there and I could see the critically critically homeless people, my heart bled because, you know, doing all kinds of things to satisfy themselves in their lives, you know. And, you know, we had the arguments, the this and the that, you know, and from my faith, I've learned to accept responsibility. And I want to say this, we as adults, we take everything, including COVID, we take everything except responsibility. And I've heard them talk about that today. I've heard these distinguished young men talk about that today, you know, and it's very serious because with my faith, pandemics, epidemics, and famines come from greed, anger, and stupidity. And if you take the first letters of each one of those, that's gas. And we need to get rid of this constipation that we've got going on and continue to help the people. Continue to help the people. And that's what I learned from the journeys in college and across the ocean and living and stuff to today. And I will say it to the day I die. I believe in humanity. I don't believe in any separation of people. I don't care what walk of life or title we come from. And I want to thank you, and I'm honored by all my family members here in this community that I'm meeting, that we all were brought together and it wasn't an accident. It's on purpose, even to have Mark here to say what he said today. Thank you so much. Welcome to our community.